Numerous quarterbacks have made historic Hall of Fame careers in the league, all thanks to their prowess, incredible play, and being a role model on and off the field. Some quarterbacks have become incredible Hall of Famers, thanks to their legendary play, while others have helped carry their team to moderate success, and then some quarterbacks played well for one reason, fooling the league into thinking that they're good, only to fall back to the earth the following season. Today, we're going to explore 10 quarterbacks who tricked the NFL into thinking they were incredible quarterbacks for 1 or 2 seasons, only to fall flat immediately after. So, without further ado, let's dive right into it. Brock Osweiler. During the 2015 season, Peyton Manning's age caught up to the soon-to-be Hall of Famer as he struggled in key games during the regular season, but was bailed out by the no-fly zone defense. Manning threw more interceptions than touchdowns in his final regular season, with 9 touchdowns against 17 interceptions. Manning was briefly benched for Brock Osweiler, who went 5-2 as a starter. He completed 170 passes for 1,967 yards and threw 10 touchdowns against 6 interceptions during his time as the Broncos starter. One of his best games came during Week 12 against the New England Patriots, where he led the team to a 30-24 overtime win against them in the snow. After helping the Broncos win Super Bowl 50, Osweiler signed a massive $40 or $72 million deal with the Houston Texans, hoping that he would bring his magic to their misfortunes. Unfortunately, Osweiler had a high turnover rate, as well as generally poor accuracy, and he just couldn't adapt to the team's offense. Sure, he helped the Texans reach the playoffs and won against the Oakland Raiders, but he struggled against the New England Patriots the following week. Osweiler was traded to the Cleveland Browns in 2017, was released by the Browns without playing a regular season game for him, had one more stint with the Broncos where he was a shell of his former self. After that, he signed a 1-year deal with the Miami Dolphins in 2018 before ultimately retiring in 2019 and moving into a broadcasting career. Tommy Maddox. Maddox looked like a lost cause in the NFL in the 1990s, as he had a very high turnover rate, struggled to adjust to offensive schemes, and was traded 5 times as a result. He would be out of the NFL after the 1997 season. Then, in 2001, Maddox was in the XFL playing for the Los Angeles Extreme and helped them win the $1 million game, also called the XFL Championship, in a 38-6 victory over the San Francisco Demons. Maddox completed 196 passes for 2,186 yards and threw 18 touchdowns against 9 interceptions during the XFL's lone season. Impressed by those stats, the Pittsburgh Steelers signed him, where he became a backup to Cordell Stewart. Then in 2002, Maddox replaced Stewart and led the Steelers to a come-from-behind victory over the Cleveland Browns and put together his best season in the NFL by completing 234 passes for 2,836 yards, throwing 20 touchdowns against 16 interceptions, and rushing for 43 yards on 19 carries. Maddox helped lead the Steelers to the playoffs and defeated the Browns in the wildcard round, but the Steelers were knocked out of the divisional round by the Tennessee Titans in a 34-31 overtime loss. That following season, Maddox didn't quite see the same success that he did in 2002, and the Steelers finished that year with a 6-10 record. Then Ben Roethlisberger was drafted by the team in 2004, and Maddox was his backup for his final 2 seasons in the league. He did earn a Super Bowl 40 ring from the Steelers when they defeated the Seattle Seahawks 21-10 though. So, he got a little something for his time. Derek Anderson. The Browns have been a mess since they were brought back into the NFL in 1999. They've shuffled through multiple quarterbacks throughout the years and have found no success with any of them for most of the 21st century. Then, in 2007, Derek Anderson took over for Charlie Fry, and lightning struck in a bottle in his play, as he led the Browns to a 10-6 record, their best at the time, but just narrowly missed the playoffs. Anderson completed 298 passes for 3,787 yards, threw 29 touchdowns against 19 interceptions, rushed for 70 yards on 32 carries, and scored 3 rushing touchdowns. Anderson also made the Pro Bowl that season, as it looked like the Browns had found their long-term solution at quarterback. Then Anderson signed a 3-year, $27 million deal with the Browns to keep him with the team for the 2010 season. And that's where the struggles began. Anderson went 3-6 as a starter, threw 9 touchdowns against 8 interceptions that season, and the Browns finished the year with a 4-12 record. Then in 2009, Anderson went 3-4 as a starter and threw 3 touchdowns against 10 interceptions, with the Browns ultimately finishing that year on a 5-11 record. Anderson had a brief season with the Arizona Cardinals in 2010 and then spent the rest of his career backing up Cam Newton on the Carolina Panthers from 2011 to 2017. And then after that, he had one brief season with the Buffalo Bills in 2018. Nick Foles. Foles was originally the Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback back in 2013 when he helped the team finish the year with a 10-6 record, win the NFC East, and reach the playoffs before they were ultimately knocked out by the New Orleans Saints in the wildcard round. Foles had stints with the St. Louis Rams and Kansas City Chiefs Chiefs before he returned to the Eagles for the 2017 season, stepped in for an injured Carson Wentz, and led the Eagles to a dominating Super Bowl 52 victory over the New England Patriots. By 2019, the Jacksonville Jaguars were desperate for a new quarterback. So they signed Foles to a 4-year, $88 million deal, hoping that he would get them past the hump. Unfortunately, Foles suffered a shoulder injury in Week 1 of the 2019 season, as the team had to rely on Gardner Minshew for a while. Foles eventually returned to action, but finished 0-4 as a starter for the Jags, while the team finished the year with a 6-10 record and in last place of the AFC South. Foles would get traded to the Chicago Bears in the 2020 season, and then spent 2022 with the Indianapolis Colts. Foles would end up retiring in 2023 by signing a one-day contract with the Eagles. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick has had one of the most interesting careers in the NFL, as he was a journeyman backup for most of his career. However, he has shown flashes of brilliance during his wild career, like he did during the 2015 season with the New York Jets, where he completed 335 passes for 3,905 yards, throwing 21 touchdowns against 15 interceptions, and unveiled his Fitzmagic prowess that season and his no-look passes. Unfortunately, the Jets missed a chance to get into the playoffs in a tough Week 17 loss against the Buffalo Bills, even though they finished the year with a 10-6 record. Fitzpatrick struggled in the 2016 season, as he went 3-8 as a starter and threw 12 touchdowns against 17 interceptions, as other teams really cracked down on his weaknesses and all that Fitzmagic ran out. Fitzpatrick could also see some of his Fitzmagic return in the 2018 season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the inconsistent plays quickly returned after a hot 3-0 start, throwing for over 400 yards in those 3 straight games. Fitzpatrick finished the 2018 season with 17 touchdowns against 12 interceptions and was known for the outfit that he wore to the post-game press conference in Week 2 after defeating the Philadelphia Eagles 27-21. Despite that, Fitzpatrick is still beloved by NFL fans and is a great commentator with the NFL Amazon Prime team. Matt Flynn. Like Fitzpatrick, Flynn spent the majority of his NFL career as a backup quarterback and saw limited action during his playing career with the Green Bay Packers. Then, in 2011, in a meaningless Week 17 game against the Detroit Lions, he completed 33 passes for 519 yards, threw 6 touchdowns against 2 interceptions, rushed for -6 yards on 13 carries, and scored a rushing touchdown. Because of that performance, the Seattle Seahawks decided to sign Flynn to a 3-year, $20.5 million deal. But he played in 3 games with the franchise, while rookie Russell Wilson had the starting job. Flynn was able to land the contract as he played against a weak defense during the Week 17 game in the 2011 season. Flynn had a short stint with the Oakland Raiders, but lost the starting job to Terrell Pryor. Then he signed with the Buffalo Bills, where he didn't even play. Then he returned to the Packers, and then finished his career with the New Orleans Saints, where he was a backup to Drew Brees. Mitch Trubisky. The Chicago Bears stunned the NFL world by trading up in the 2017 NFL Draft to get Mitch Trubisky off the board, hoping that he would become their next franchise savior after one good season with the North Carolina Tar Heels. Despite having an inconsistent rookie season, he did rebound in 2018, as he completed 326 passes for 3,223 yards, threw 24 touchdowns against 12 interceptions, rushed for 421 yards on 68 attempts, and scored 3 rushing touchdowns. He also led the Bears to the playoffs, where they lost in an infamous double-doink missed field goal against the Philadelphia Eagles that the Bears franchise will never forget. After the 2018 season, Trubisky had more inconsistent seasons, as he dealt with injuries, had trouble reading more complex defenses, and, of course, had very poor coaching surrounding him during his tenure with the Bears. Trubisky had stints with the Buffalo Bills, Pittsburgh Steelers, and then signed a 1-year deal with the Tennessee Titans in the 2026 offseason as a journeyman backup. To add insult to injury, the Bears also missed out on drafting some guy named Patrick Mahomes. Not really sure who that guy is, but he went 8 spots after Trubisky. Yeah. Mark Sanchez. When Sanchez began his NFL career with the Jets, he looked like the franchise quarterback that they had been yearning for, as he led the team to back-to-back AFC Championship game appearances in the 2009 and 2010 seasons, respectively. Sanchez did have his rookie mistakes, but they were mostly ignored, as the Jets' defense played lights out, and he had a strong ground game led by talented running backs like Thomas Jones, Leon Washington, and a young Danny Woodhead. Sanchez had a very good statistical season in 2011, as he completed 308 passes for 3,474 yards, threw 26 touchdowns against 18 interceptions, rushed for 103 yards on 37 attempts, and scored 6 rushing touchdowns. However, the Jets finished that year with an 8-8 record and missed the playoffs, and that's when everything came crashing down for Sanchez. He became a bit of a meme because of the butt fumble during the team's Week 12 Thanksgiving game against the New England Patriots, which was a 49-19 loss in prime time. Sanchez then had brief stints with the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, Chicago Bears, and Washington, where he served as a journeyman backup. Sanchez went on to have a good career in the NFL broadcast booth, but was fired after he was arrested for assaulting a truck driver in Indianapolis in the wee hours of the morning in October of 2025. Blake Bortles. Bortles was drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars to be their savior at quarterback after a disastrous 4-12 season. But he didn't have a good rookie season. He dealt with a weak offense, a defense that struggled, and they just couldn't win on the road. Bortles stepped things up statistically in 2015, completing 355 passes for 4,428 yards, throwing 35 touchdowns against 18 interceptions, rushing for 310 yards on 52 carries, and scoring 2 rushing touchdowns. However, most of Bortles' scoring came during garbage time in games, and the Jaguars finished the year with a 5-11 record. Bortles led the Jaguars to a 10-6 record in the 2017 season and guided them to the AFC Championship game, where they unfortunately blew away a 10-point lead against the New England Patriots and missed out on a chance of reaching the Super Bowl. Bortles signed a 3-year, $54 million extension with the Jaguars during the 2018 offseason, but he struggled during the regular season, going 3-9 as a starter and throwing 13 touchdowns against 11 interceptions. Bortles had brief stints with the Los Angeles Rams, Denver Broncos, Green Bay Packers, and New Orleans Saints as a backup before he retired in October of 2022. Carson Wentz. When Wentz was drafted out of North Dakota State, the hype was real, as he looked to be the team's next franchise quarterback. He had an okay rookie season, completing 379 passes for 3,782 yards and throwing 16 touchdowns against 14 interceptions in 2016. Wentz began to step it up in the 2017 season, completing 265 passes for 3,296 yards and throwing 33 touchdowns against 7 interceptions, and it looked like he was going to walk away with the league MVP at the time. Unfortunately for Wentz, he dealt with a very brutal ACL injury during the team's Week 14 matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. Luckily for the Eagles, Nick Foles was on the roster and guided them to a Super Bowl 52 victory over the New England Patriots. After that season, Wentz regressed throughout his career, lost trust in his Eagles teammates, and became a journeyman backup after being released in 2021. But what quarterback do you think most tricked the NFL with their one season of goodness? Were there any notable names that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.